Drunk Podcast, a very strange podcast, the drunkest show in the world. It's Jackson and Colton talking out of their ass. We don't care as long as drinks are poured. Sometimes we have our friends here. We will talk about anything. We don't care as long as we have beer. And if you let that whiskey ring. The Odd Drunk Podcast.
Playing on the Game Boy on the Embernick earlier. Have you played Ninja 5-0?
I haven't.
You should check that one out. It's you play as a ninja cop. It's a side-scrolling like action platformer. So it's like you're a ninja and you have like a rope that you can swing around on. And it's like scenarios like there's a bunch of like Yakuza robbing a bank and they have hostages and you have to go and stop them and rescue the hostages.
Oh, okay.
And it kind of has like you have to find keys to get to the next door and
Console, is it?
it's GBA.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. There's like robot samurais and shit like that. It's a lot of fun.
I gotta check that. What is it called? Ninja 5?
Ninja 5-0.
Ninja 5-0? That's all.
Yeah.
That's some B movie that never got made.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it leans into it heavily. It's like yeah, there's yeah.
Let me write that down. Ninja 5-0.
It's awesome. Yeah.
In fact, I could grab my thing and just.
I don't know if it came by default on the SP.
I'm gonna find out.
Because I think I added it manually because I have the ROM on my computer, but I know it came default with the original RG35XX.
Nice. We're gonna have to do a whole episode just on immolation.
Yeah.
I brought the RG28, the little micro one. I bring it to work sometimes, and I left it there. And I mean, it's fine. It's locked up.
Yeah. Out of all the places that it could be left, it's pretty safe there. Yeah.
Yeah. But I've been playing it the most lately just because I usually always have it on me.
Nice. Yeah.
But of course, I love the SP.
The SP is my favorite handheld so far.
Home one.
Yeah.
Even though it's the clamshell, I treat it like so special. Like I treat it so nice and with so much care. I just keep it at home.
Oh, this has a permanent place in my bag.
Even though I should.
It just stays in my bag.
Nice. Yeah, I got my little micro one for like just throw it in my pocket, forget about it, and then when you get bored, you can play a game.
That's perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
Not sponsored by Ambernick.
No, we just happen to have a lot of their shit.
I have heard that like some of these, like very few of these, have had heating issues with charging with the RG 35.
Yeah, some of the early models did. I heard that Ambernick kind of got on top of that.
Yeah. It's an unfortunate thing. Stay away from USB-C to C, like fast charging things. Use 5-volt, just 5-volt. Yeah, it'll charge slow, but you play your games, plug it in, leave it overnight. It should be fine.
And it doesn't charge that slow either, even on 5-volt, because it's not like it has a massive battery in the first place.
No. So just don't. That's just kind of a general rule with a lot of electronics and appliances. Only use fast charging if it's fast charging compatible, like if it can handle the voltage.
I use the cable that comes with it.
Anyways,
the charging block I'm using is an old one from a Roku streaming stick that I have left over.
I have an old iPhone one that's only 5 volts.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's Tech Tips with the Drunk Podcast, our new segment. Tech Tips. Use the correct charger for your device.
Yes.
Especially if it was made in China. And just anyways.
If your device takes USB-C, don't jam a micro USB into there. It's not gonna work.
No matter how hard you try.
USB-C is one of the best cords like ever.
It is.
It's funny that Apple, they just gave in. They just fucking gave up with the lightning cord because it
Hmm.
sucks.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we're doing USB-C now because yeah, it should be the universal
Yeah.
charging cord for like anything.
But they're still
It's the
doing it in
best.
like the most Apple way where you still
Right.
need an Apple cord
The Apple
to
USB
get to
for it
like
to recognize
maximize
and like do
how
yeah,
efficiently it
maximize
charges
yeah.
and stuff.
The
Yeah.
charging efficiency and like data transfer and whatever other
Yeah.
bullshit they try to convince you to
So they're
buy a $40 cable for or whatever.
yeah.
Uh, that's Apple. Uh, anyways, that's a little off topic, but we're gonna have fun tonight. We are
Yes.
doing finally. We're a little late to the party, but you know we have lives. I just got done moving, and now we're gonna be in the process of unpacking and
Yeah.
getting everything set up. But finally done moving all that shit out. Um, and nice. It's an upgrade. It's nice. I'm happy. It's good.
Oh
But
yeah.
happy I'm done with the hard work. Um,
Moving's a pain in the
but
ass.
uh, before that, and you saw it too, Deadpool and
Yes.
Wolverine.
Yes.
We're gonna be talking about. We're gonna be doing our review, spoiler heavy. We'll do our now non-spoiler review. It'll be quick, but we'll do it.
Hmm.
Don't want spoilers.
Yeah.
Although it's so hard to avoid spoilers now. Uh, there was
Yeah.
the Comic Con reveal where they had all the undisclosed cast members show up
Hmm.
and stuff like that. And there's stuff all over the internet now.
Yeah.
However, if you still somehow avoided it and still want to see it, if you're still one of the people that haven't seen this movie, because it has broken all the R-rated movie records.
Yeah.
It made over 400 million globally its opening weekend, over 200 million just domestic in the U.S. It's the sixth highest opening weekend of all time,
Yeah. Yeah.
regardless of rating. Um, yeah, the critic reviews, I think it's sitting around like 78 or 79% now. Because,
Hmm.
it is definitely fan servicey, and the critics are always going to be harsh against that.
Yeah.
However, the
It's very fan servicey, but
audience score is sitting around 97 or 98, something like that.
yeah.
Uh, I could bother checking.
No, no.
Uh,
If I had to, in a non-spoiler, non-nitpicky way, criticize it in one way, it's that it kind of has the same problem that Spider-Man No Way Home has.
I think
To a lesser
yes and no.
extent, in my
I think
opinion,
yes to a lesser extent
but it's
because
still there. And the problem is that it's a movie that is relying very, very heavily on not just movies that came before it, but an established pop culture thing.
pop culture. Well, Deadpool's jokes is a
Mhm.
lot of his jokes you won't understand if you don't
Well,
have any kind of pop
that's kind
culture
of why I think,
knowledge.
but that's Deadpool is
Um,
specifically why I think it's that problem's not as severe as Spider-Man No Way Home. And don't get me wrong, side note, I love Spider-Man No Way Home. It's one of my favorite Spider-Man
yeah,
movies,
as a
but
fan, yeah,
as a fan, but
yeah.
I think the reason why this problem doesn't seem to affect this movie as much is because of Deadpool's style of humor
Well,
and his fourth wall
also,
breaking and all that sort of stuff that makes it work
yeah,
better.
and if you've seen the trailers, it's no surprise that this is multiversey,
Yeah.
and it's the best multiverse movie Marvel's done, in my opinion,
Yeah.
solidly. Like
Easily. Yeah.
even a little bit more than No Way Home. I think I can say that, and
Yeah.
I have a few reasons in saying that, and I think one of the main reasons it's not just cameos, and I mean No Way Home does this pretty well too, but well, yeah, I'd put them around equal footing maybe, but
Hmm.
we'll discuss. But it's not just cameos like oh hello, it's these characters that show up actually play a part
Yeah.
in the plot. They move the plot forward. They get to do cool
They
things,
they feel
and
like they belong there outside of just
just
because the
oh
studio is doing it.
right. And
Um
obviously, it's paying
without
homage.
not getting to spoilers yet, but there's the point in the movie where Deadpool teams up with some characters.
Yeah.
Um, those characters, like, yes, they
Peter.
are. I'm really
Look.
dancing around spoilers. Like, yeah, they are in some ways they are fan servicey, but they are already there in this world that Deadpool's
Right.
in
And it's
before he
explained,
comes across
and
them.
also, let's just get out of the way. Yeah, Hugh Jackman was born to play Wolverine. He is
Yeah,
fucking perfect as Wolverine. He
yeah.
fucking nails it here.
So
And
this
I
is
don't I don't think it
maybe,
surpasses his performance as Logan,
yeah, maybe
but
performance wise, it's not his
uh,
best
well, I
Wolverine
don't
movie,
know. There's some
but
really
as
good
far as just
monologue and like
like
there's some good dialogue in there.
there is, yeah.
It's not just actiony stuff,
Oh
but
yeah.
I think just as a classic version of Wolverine, I think this is his best go at it.
It feels like the
It
most classic Wolverine that he has ever done.
Yeah,
Um,
Logan's great, but it's a, sad, somber,
yeah.
dark look on the character. And this kind of is too, but it also they get to play around with the character in ways that we've never seen before
Hmm.
on screen.
Yeah.
Stuff that fans have been begging for. We finally got to see. I have one little nitpick. It's a
Hmm.
spoiler, and I think they're saving it for another movie,
Yeah.
but we'll talk about it.
We'll
But
we'll
yeah,
get to that, yeah.
Hugh Jackman absolutely nails it, and yeah, Ryan Reynolds also was
Hmm.
born to play Deadpool. He
Yeah.
nails it, and just the two together finally in a movie. And yes, it is more of a Deadpool movie, but Wolverine Logan doesn't he doesn't just feel like a guest star. It is
Yeah.
still also a Wolverine movie.
It's
The title
absolutely
is
a
accurate.
Wolverine movie. Yeah.
Like, especially getting into the second and third act when it gets more into this version of Wolverine's backstory and his
Yeah.
motive and like why he's, you've seen the trailer, but why he's regarded as the worst version and all this, which that's kind of hard to believe considering what we've seen, but the
Yeah.
backstory explains it.
It's debatable.
um but you know the and just some of the dialogue and like I don't want to get any spoilers, but anyways, yeah,
Yeah.
we really loved it. We have nitpicks, and it's hard to
Hmm.
criticize it without getting into spoilers.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I'll just
another
say
thing,
this.
like kind of non-spoiler thing I can say about it is like why, like, again, to compare to like Spider-Man No Way Home, and make this comparison a lot, but it's an easy movie to compare to. That movie has these characters come in and they do stuff where they say the line, they do the thing that you makes you jump out of your chair and go, oh,
Yeah,
he said it, oh,
in
I'm
this
something of a
they
scientist
do
myself too.
things.
That thing.
In this, you have
Wolverine and
characters doing
Deadpool,
unexpected things or
yeah, well,
doing new,
it's like
fresh things.
Wolverine and Deadpool in
And
this have moments where you go out, you go, oh, they did the
oh, he did
thing, but
yeah.
a thing that's not a callback. At one point, Wolverine is on
It's
all
a
fours,
comic book
like
reference, or
like
it's
running on all fours
there's a
at
lot, and
someone, and that
yeah,
made me go, that is fucking
that
Wolverine.
that's rad.
And it wasn't a callback to something, it was just
It's
him
just
being Wolverine in a
well,
really good way,
so there's a
you
lot
know?
of deep cut like movie like knowledge, like not even MCU or even like the Fox movies.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of
There's one
like
cameo
outside
in the
knowledge you
movie
must
that
have.
is a really deep cut,
Deep cut.
only if
Yeah,
you're
I
into
think I know what you're
following
talking
Marvel
about.
rumors. We'll get
Yeah.
into it, but I
Yeah,
really,
only
really
if you're
loved
like
it.
into this stuff, like you're a film nerd, you'll get a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But and also like the Ryan Reynolds references that Rosen, all that. But and the comic book references, there's deep comic book cuts,
Yeah. Yeah.
deep ones. Like one that I was like, I recognize what that is, but I can't remember what it's from. Like even I was like, okay, I recognize it, but I'm gonna have to, look it up later or whatever. Like
Hmm.
there's some deep stuff. But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, I think the main criticism I have, and it's really hard for me to have this criticism because it's not a problem for me. Um, if you've only like maybe seen the Deadpool movies and some Wolverine
Hmm.
movies, or you've loosely followed this stuff, a lot of it is you're not gonna get a lot of the jokes. You're not gonna get a lot of the like you might not care about a lot of the cameos, or should I even say cameos? Because a lot of them are just supporting roles.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you might not care all much about that. And but I think it is Marvel's best multiverse movie by far, and
Yeah.
for the main reason that I think it's better than No Way Home is the whole explanation, the whole reason we see all these characters.
Yeah.
It ties into it, this movie definitely ties into the greater MCU, but it's still its own closed contained thing. It does a
Hmm.
good job of,
If you have a vague
oh, if you
awareness of
know,
the
you know.
characters, you
Like
can still
there's even
follow the
anyways,
movie.
can we just get into
Well,
spoilers?
well, I guess one more thing.
Yeah.
A final
Oh, and some of
the
the action was a little bit choppy. Like
I did
there's
agree. Yeah,
a
there's
couple scenes where I was like, well, I wish that could have been, expanded on a little bit, but then again, then they would cut to a really cool
yeah.
moment or
There's
shot,
one scene, and we'll
you
get
know.
into it, that bunch of characters are fighting, and I thought
Mm,
there's really cool stuff going on. We got to see some awesome stuff, but the camera was really shaky, and I didn't think it was very well shot
no,
during
you
that
get cool
scene.
moments, but like the
Um,
choreography could be, it felt a little rushed,
yeah. That
maybe.
being said, there's
Um,
also a few fight scenes that I think were really excellently
oh
done.
yeah, and that kind of
Uh,
evens it out.
no, but I think the
Uh,
my main takeaway from the movie, and this is the reason why, outside of being a fan of the Deadpool movies and a fan of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine,
and just
um, but as
Marvel
a
movies in
fan
general.
of comic book characters,
Yeah,
the best thing this movie
it's
does is it feels
it feels
like
like a comic book.
a comic book story.
It
There
feels
are,
more like a comic book than any
yeah,
almost any other MCU movie.
there are, I mean, there's MCU movies that I love that are excellent movies. Winter Soldier, for
But they're
example, is
still
an
like
excellent movie,
grounded,
but
like
it's,
it's still like,
well,
and that's not a bad thing.
yeah, it's
But
being a
it's
movie. It's
yeah,
this, the
it's not being a comic book
comics
movie
sometimes have a
necessarily.
tendency to just do
Whatever.
wacky whatever
Yeah,
scenarios for
but that
no
works well
reason
with
other
Deadpool
than just because the writers
because
want to do an interesting
well,
thing with the characters. And hey,
so Ryan
what if
Reynolds
we put Wolverine into this scenario
So
type
Ryan
of movie
Reynolds wrote
things?
this along with Sean Levy, who directed it, who also did Night at a Museum, which I didn't know,
Yeah,
which is cool. And he did Free Guy.
I like
And
those movies.
apparently, when he approached him about doing a Deadpool movie, he was like, I know you like doing original work and everything, but we're gonna be getting started on next Deadpool. And Sean Levy was like, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah,
Of course.
just because they're
And
existing characters does not mean you can't do original
yeah,
stuff with it.
and
Um,
and then Hugh Jackman, I've seen many interviews because they did a fuck ton of press junkets and ton on every YouTube show ever, on Hot Ones, on everything.
mhm.
Um, but Hugh Jackman, pretty just sum it up, pretty much said that, and he even had the date like August 2020. But he said that after he announced his retirement from Logan, he saw Deadpool,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
he was basically like, oh, that was a bad call.
yeah.
Like there's so much that could be done with this, and this
Yeah.
would be so
No,
fun.
but yeah, I mean,
And then
just
he
as
he
a,
ended up calling Ryan Reynolds the day because he knew like when they were gonna start filming or start working on it, and he called him and was basically like, okay, I'm in.
yeah,
And then they pretty much pivoted because they were gonna shelve the movie. They were gonna tell Kevin Feige like, hey, we don't have anything. Let's give it a couple more years before we do a Deadpool movie in the MCU, all that. And
yeah,
then Hugh Jackman called that day. I was like, I'm in. And they're like, fuck, and they just improvised the basic plot of the movie.
I love it. Well, no,
Um,
I mean, again, my biggest
and
my
it
biggest
worked.
praise of the movie is that the plot, the scenarios the characters are in, the way the characters are portrayed feels just so much
Mm,
like a
it
comic book, and
feels
not like an adaptation of a comic book, but like this
no,
could be
just
a comic book.
yeah, it feels like a
Versus
comic book
like
straight up.
there are other movies that have done excellent adaptations of a comic book
Mhm.
story. This is the opposite. This is if they could make a comic book based off of this movie, and it would be
Well,
an
and
excellent comic book. Like,
now Disney to overlords, like now Deadpool's even doing shows at Disneyland,
yeah, of
telling
course.
stories and whatever, and Wolverine shows up. But yeah, the Disney overlords, now that they own pretty much all the Marvel characters, with the exception of Spider-Man, which they share the rights and whatever with Sony.
Yeah.
And then those other unrelated Spider-Man characters that we
Yeah, and
the Venom
Sony's pushing
movies
out
out of.
another Venom movie.
Yeah, but now they have pretty much the whole toy box.
Yeah.
Pretty much all the Marvel characters anyone would care about. The X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, all that.
I've
They
seen
have.
some people.
So now they can do a lot more, and they can do
Yeah.
comic book stuff.
I've seen some people like saying that this movie feels like it could be like a rebirth for the MCU, and of course, we will see.
That's hard to say. We shall
Yeah,
see. I
they're
feel like they're desperate because
yeah,
if you just saw the announcement that Robert Downey Jr. is going to be Doctor Doom.
yeah. I know
After
people
playing Iron Man
are
for, ever.
mixed on this. I'm not going to dismiss it
mean,
immediately, but it's weird.
It's gonna be some kind of multiverse thing, right?
Yeah.
Or is it just gonna be like, no, he's just Doctor Doom? It's just.
I mean, if they
I
just,
think he's gonna be like a Dark Tony Stark variant. That's
yeah,
gonna how they're gonna like tie it together and whatever.
yeah, we'll see.
Which kind of is a disservice to Doctor Doom's character.
That's kind of why
However,
some people are annoyed about it, because they're like, we would rather just
that's a
have
little
Doctor Doom
just proper Doctor Doom, not like
than evil Tony
Doctor
Stark.
Doom or whatever.
And the problem is,
However,
even if they do
if
make him a proper Doctor Doom, it still will have that
But then again, I
background
saw
knowledge
he's cast. He's not cast as Stark. He's cast as Victor Von Doom.
Yeah.
So I think what they might do, I think he just might be Doctor Doom, and there might be some kind of like multiversal, like explanation connection. Whatever. Like why
I mean,
does he
it
look
could
like
be
Iron
interesting. I don't know. I'm not going to
Man?
dismiss it
Because there's a
immediately.
character. There's a particular character that shows up in this movie that has played 2
Mhm.
particular characters.
Yeah.
And that works. That worked. It worked. And let's get into spoilers.
Okay, so that was our non-spoiler review.
So the one thing I will say
before we get into spoilers, let's just, for the people who want to
drinking?
stop listening right now, out of 10, as a fan,
I mean, as a fan
and as a movie critic, where would you place this movie?
Ooh, okay.
As a fan, for me personally, it's
I can't really fucking. I mean, I do want to see it again, even in theaters, and I never do that. I want to try to see it again before it gets streaming, but if not, I'll just wait till streaming. But for me to say that, that's pretty high regards because I never do that, even with like movies I really like. I'll just be like, well, I'll wait for streaming because also money. But I mean, solid 9 out of 10 as a fan.
Yeah, I would agree
if
with
I
that.
really just wanted to just like geek out and ignore every like little nitpick I have and just drool, I could easily give it a 10.
As a comic book fan, as a Deadpool fan, as a fan of the Fox movies, yeah,
maybe a 10 out of 10. As being more critical and everything, I would say a 9 out of 10 still.
Yeah.
I still have pretty high regards.
I think for me, as just a pure fan, like leaning into the fan service, just enjoying it, it's a 9
still 9 out of 10, and I'll tell you why when we get into our spoilers. Just 9 out of 10 overall for me.
Yeah, I'd say as a fan, it's a 9 out of 10. As a total critic, I'd say it's maybe an 8 out of 10.
Yeah. No, that's fair, and that's pretty much what the ratings are.
Yeah, I think the ratings are being
reviews 79%.
Yeah, I mean,
audience
I think
score 96%.
I think 8, maybe 8.5. Maybe the critics, I think, are being a little harsh, but they're not totally
some
off.
critics that just haven't seen any of it and like just don't get it, like are just trashing it because they don't get it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's our.
For me, the jokes landed. Like
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. It was good action, and it's brutal. It's rated R. Like I think the
Yes.
only thing they don't really do is like sexual stuff, but like who cares? It's brutal. It's violent. It's they're
Hmm.
cussing a lot and um, funny jokes, especially. Can we get in spoiler? Oh, by the way, I'm
Yeah.
drinking a drink.
Nice.
Um,
So am I.
uh, from the last episode when we ranked the Fox movies, and I still gotta post that. Uh, remember how we ranked them because I lost the image file somehow, but I was just up with it. Anyways, I'm drinking I call it my Deadpool gin and tonic. So just a
Nice.
gin and tonic. I'm using aviation gin
Of
and
course.
some cranberry juice
That sounds
because Deadpool's
delicious.
red.
I would drink the hell out of that.
So they don't see
Um,
me bleed.
I'm drinking
But yeah,
a little bit of whiskey here. It's Bushmills Black Bush.
nice.
Um,
Straight
I
up.
just I just
That's like a
got
Wolverine
yeah, yeah.
choice. Yeah.
I just got a
Anyways,
couple little bottles of it so that
little
just for tonight.
nice.
So I've got just a
Anyways,
double
let's get into
here.
spoilers.
Yes. If you don't want
Well,
spoilers,
we
stop
barely
listening
talked about the
now.
villain, but that's kind of very spoiler heavy, anyways. Cassandra Nova. I thought she was pretty damn good.
I
I
liked her.
think she
Yeah.
was kind of just a crazy bitch for the sake of it, but that's just
Sometimes
kind
that's
of what.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's nothing.
but anyways, I
Here's
liked
the
her
thing.
power set. I like the finger thing.
Yeah,
How she has to touch people to like mind read them.
I like that.
Um,
Yeah. Here's the
but
thing. A slight side tangent.
mhm,
Drink.
okay.
Mm. Villains should be allowed sometimes to just be
To
evil
serve the
for the sake
right.
of being evil.
Yeah.
We have
And
too
there's also
many.
kind of a side villain, the TVA guy, Paradox,
Yeah,
because he's going against the main TVA. They're doing their own thing, trying to
but
eliminate.
he's more like
Because
villain in the sense of he set
I will
things in
say,
motion.
you have to fully understand this. You kind of got to see Loki, at least
Yeah,
season one.
yeah.
Season two would be helpful, but Loki, I would say the recommended viewings is the entire Fox movie. No,
The
no,
entire Fox movie franchise,
no. But the
the
Deadpool movies,
entire
obviously.
MCU.
Right. Yeah, just that. No, but I would say the ones you definitely have to watch though is Deadpool movies, Logan, and Loki.
Yeah,
I would say
look,
if you watch those, you would, and let's just assume you've seen like the other ones.
yeah.
But let's get
I,
into
I will. I
spoilers.
will say,
Um,
however, like my partner, she didn't watch Loki.
but it catches you up. I mean,
She didn't seem
to
to
like
have any trouble understanding
the
what was
concept
going
of the
on.
TVA, the time
Like,
they control the
like
timeline,
she's
blah blah
aware of
blah.
the idea of multiverse stuff. The
Yeah.
TVA shows up. At first she didn't really know who they are, but you know, they pretty
Also,
quickly explain it, and it's not hard
yeah,
to
and
understand.
Deadpool
Like,
makes fun of it.
yeah.
And like the
So
stuff that would go over your head or that you think is like nerd stupid, Deadpool makes fun of it for you.
yeah,
So like
Deadpool
it
does a good
works.
job of helping you suspend disbelief even more than you normally would for a superhero movie.
Yeah.
So when time cops show up, you're just like, yeah, it seems fine.
Yeah.
Um,
Peg
uh,
news. Not new for me, friendo.
no, but my quick side tangent was
Yep.
we have too many movies out there that come out that feel like they need to have a relatable villain or a twist villain or
Right.
some kind of grounded villain. And sometimes when it's done well, that is excellent.
No,
But
and I think
sometimes you need a villain who is just evil.
yeah,
For
so played by Emma Corrin, and apparently she was their first and like only choice apparently to play
nice.
Cassandra Nova, and she does great.
Yeah.
No, she's not like, I mean, it's not like Thanos where you get this deep understanding of the character. I mean, she's just
No.
kind of bad
Yeah.
just cuz.
And it's cool. Again, you
And
get the
that's
Thanos
fine.
where like you have this philosophical thing
And she's
behind it
also
that's
OP,
cool.
so
But
you
I
get
liked
that.
her. She's just bad guy. She has one moment in there where she has a moment of being reasonable,
Mhm,
but it's very brief
yeah.
just because they
Anyways,
convince her into it, basically.
let's get into
But
spoilers.
yeah,
The intro scene. Best MCU intro scene?
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe.
it opens with him digging up
Deadpool
Logan's grave.
literally digging up Logan's grave. Like they say how they're not gonna touch Logan.
Yeah, and he's
Ruin
like,
the
"Fuck
legacy of it.
that." We're literally just
He's
like,
digging Logan's grave to try to revive him, and then it's just an adamantium skeleton, just a rotting skeleton.
yeah,
And then the TVA agents show up, and it's kind of like, oh, you wonder how I got here? Well, let me take. And that's literally, but he kills a whole squadron of TVA agents, and they just keep spawning in, and he
mhm.
kills them with Wolverine's skeleton, like his bones
Yeah,
and
pulling the
his
bones
claws and
off
all
and
that,
stabbing
and
them, and all the
and
time
he's
doing,
doing it to Bye 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 and
and not
dancing to Bye
just,
Bye Bye.
yeah, not just
Backstreet Boys.
doing it to Backstreet Boys, but also doing the Backstreet Boys dance
Yep.
in between
Which
kills.
apparently they got a professional dancer do that. That wasn't Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah,
But yeah, amazing. And then he catches you up to it, and then this was a big surprise. I didn't expect this. Using Cable's time travel device, which is this kind of a retcon.
yeah.
It's definitely a retcon. But he goes to the MCU and interviews Happy Hogan, John
They don't
Favreau, to be in
seem,
Avengers.
they don't seem to explain that.
Nope, he just does it.
There's just a scene where he has an interview with Happy Hogan, and it doesn't seem to be there for any reason other than this is Disney's formal way of being like, X-Men are now part of the MCU.
Yeah.
Even if it's not in this form. Here's Deadpool talking to Happy Hogan.
Marvel Jesus.
Yeah, apparently a lot of
And
people were
then he
very
rejects him
upset
for the
about the
Avengers.
Marvel Jesus joke that he
Oh
makes,
god.
which I find hilarious because honestly, it's a really tame joke. But for some reason, people
Right.
latched onto that to be offended by. I don't get it.
Of course.
But
Christians.
no, but yeah, right from the beginning with the whole uh digging up Logan's grave, I'm like, okay, I know what we're getting into here. This is
So yeah, we already. I mean, technically, Wolverine appears in the beginning of the movie.
yeah. And then when he finally gets
Um,
to the TVA, they're like, so they do confirm Logan, the movie, took place in the Deadpool universe.
yeah.
They are the same universe, which
So that means
people,
he had to time jump a little bit in the future,
yeah,
or
people
it's called.
are, it's
Uh,
weird. I know the Fox universe is weird, and people speculate on what happened or didn't happen in each of the Fox
yeah,
movies.
Logan's not a separate universe. It's
Um,
the main line
yeah,
Wolverine.
because they do make the joke. They were just like, he's the Logan in that universe was
The anchor,
the anchor
the
being,
reality,
yeah.
the
So
anchor
they were
being.
like, we made the sacrifice that sent ripples through like
Yeah,
through the multiverse or
and that's
whatever.
what starts. And there's a theory that some people think that Stark was an anchor being in the MCU, and that's why it's like the multiverse shit is like all collapsing and whatever.
Mm.
Um, in the
I mean, yeah,
MCU.
that would make
But
sense.
anyways, um, uh, I thought, I thought it started a slightly slow, but as soon as he gets in TVA, and they explain, oh, that you have a purpose and everything, and then we see Thor crying and holding him. It's footage from Thor: The Dark World, which
Yeah.
apparently was a plan. One of their ideas was to make a shot-for-shot remake of Thor: The Dark World with Deadpool in it.
I mean, I would watch that. I don't know if
Another
it would be
idea
that good, but
another idea they had was to just literally do like a indie like road trip movie with Deadpool and Wolverine, where it mostly takes place in a car, and we get a little bit of that
I mean, that would be
of
cool.
them
Yeah,
like
there's,
fighting the
yeah.
Honda,
I mean, so I will, so
which is a great scene. I
it
love when they fight
occurs
in the
to
car.
me later on in the movie. So when they pull Deadpool out and tell him that he's Marvel Jesus, and they're like, now you can join the MCU, that feels that they don't say it and they don't explain it that much more. But is that Paradox just trying to get Deadpool out of the way?
So he can
Because
call his universe.
yeah, because he's trying to build his
It,
machine that can destroy a universe so he can
destroy
destroy
the
that
Fox
universe.
universe,
And
and
he's like, because later
because
on with like characters like Blade and
in
Electro,
Loki,
the way they explain it is the
oh
reason
yeah,
why
Blade
they're
and Elektra are in the movie.
Yeah,
and
but
Laura
like they
in
explain that the
Gambit,
reason why
who's
they are
Channing
in the
Tatum.
trash heap in the void in the first place is because the TVA knew that these are characters that would not go down without a fight
Yeah.
for their universe, so they just got rid of them so that they could let the universe die.
Well, yeah, and you learn in Loki that the disintegration sticks or whatever they put you to the void, and where Elias is there, the big cloud monster that just eats up people. Um, but well, it also hints that yeah, Deadpool will show up in like Avengers: Secret Wars or something like that, and
Mm-hmm.
Wolverine probably too. They leave it open where they could come back, and it would be a no-brainer to bring them back. I mean,
Yeah.
especially after the box office and everything. But but no, I think once it gets into that with TVA, and yeah, I would say so. Like in Loki season 2, Loki takes a spoiler alert for that, but Loki takes over, and they decide not to purge timelines anymore, like snip
Mm-hmm.
the branches to just let it branch out. But then, yeah, Paradox wants to go back to the old ways
Yeah.
and purge timelines. Uh, so then Deadpool escapes, and then he catches up, and he kills all of them, and then he goes to get a Wolverine.
Yeah. Because he's like, well, because he's
And
like, who wants to save his universe? So he's like,
I mean,
Logan is the reason the universe is dying.
so
So
he goes to
I
get
need to
a
get a Logan.
Logan, and he goes to various different Wolverine universes, different Wolverines, and
Yes.
the first one is short comic book accurate one.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wish it was Danny DeVito, but still, Hugh Jackman's face, like put on a
Just
tiny
like a
beard, is pretty
shrunken
good.
down little itty
Yeah,
bitty Wolverine. It's
yeah, little
amazing.
tiny Hugh Jackman. And then you get the Age of Apocalypse one where he has the one amputated arm and like the
Yeah.
huge mane. You
Yeah.
get
You get
the one where
Patch.
he's on just on the X cross. You get Patch.
Yeah.
Um, and then you get Brown Suit Wolverine,
I love
and we
that.
get a slight little tease to Hulk versus Wolverine.
Yeah.
And that's one of my nitpicks. It's like, oh, you could have shown a little bit more.
Yeah, I
But
wish they would have
but I
done a
feel
little
like
bit more Hulk, but
I feel like they're saving that for
um
later.
and then we
Uh,
get, I think, which is one of my favorite cameos in the whole movie, you get Henry
Cavalry,
Cavill,
yeah,
which
which
so
is like a fan casting
I
thing, and
knew
then
there
he's like,
were
"We'll treat you better than the guys across the street,"
yeah,
referencing how DC
I
handled
knew
his
that there were rumors that we would see a variant of Wolverine that was not Hugh Jackman.
not Hugh, yeah.
I did
There's
not
various.
expect Henry Cavill.
No, the one I heard a lot was Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, we get because it shows him in the back working on a motorcycle,
Hmm.
and I'm like, damn, he's huge. I was like, I know Hugh worked out, but I was like, man, he's
Yeah,
huge.
I
And
was
then turns
about to
around,
be
it's
like,
Henry
did
Cavill,
are they gonna CGI like Daniel Radcliffe's face onto a a
like a
big
huge,
guy?
yeah, which that
Um,
would be funny too. But no,
but
it's Henry Cavill, and he's like, oh, it's the Cavalry, and yeah, that was pretty good. And damn, I mean, I don't think he will be the new Wolverine, but it is just a fun little nod.
yeah,
It's like the fan casting thing nod we got with John Krasinski as
yeah,
Mr. Fantastic. It reminds me of that. Um, and then he finally finds the Wolverine that's in the movie, just drinking at a bar, and he has a bad pass. And it's later on explained that it's kind of like Old Man Logan, where he he in this version he didn't kill the X-Men like out of
hmm,
being mind controlled or like Mysterio, but he wasn't there and they
yeah.
die. He blames himself
He was out
for their
drinking.
deaths. He was
He
out
was drunk at
drinking,
a bar
drunk at a
when
bar while
a
they got
bunch
killed
of
by.
when an angry mob stormed the mansion and killed the X-Men,
Yeah,
and then they
that's a little
explain
left a little vague.
that when he got back, he
Then he
slaughtered
just went on a
everyone.
rampage. He
Yeah,
slaughtered good, bad, whatever, it didn't matter. He just started killing indiscriminately. So then he just drinks himself to death all the time.
yeah.
Um, but Deadpool's like, okay, well, you're
He's
coming.
like, you'll have to do it.
And
You're the first one who hasn't like immediately
immediately
stabbed
kill me.
me.
Yeah, stab
Um,
me. Um, and yeah, he does great. I mean, and seeing all the different versions is great. But yeah, this version and just
yeah.
it's a little bit of Logan. Like even when Laura talks to him later, she's like, "Yeah, you remind me of him." Blah blah blah. And like he is like the
He's
Logan version.
he's basically just like a slightly more depressed version of the Fox Wolverine.
with a comic book suit.
Yeah, I do love that,
Yeah,
you know,
and he wears
he
it
drinks
to.
the bottle, passes out in the bar, and
Well, doesn't
Deadpool
he drink rubbing alcohol or something
at
later
some
on?
point later, yeah, he just
Yeah.
drinks rubbing alcohol, yeah. But he drinks the whole bottle, passes out in the bar, and then Deadpool goes to like like pick him up to drag him out, and he looks down, looks straight at the camera, and goes, "Finally!" It only took 25 fucking years because he sees the suit underneath.
Yeah. And then they get dropped into the void pretty quickly after that,
Mhm.
after a little kerfuffle with Paradox and everything. And then they fight, and
Side
we get
note,
our first.
side note, I do really like the guy in the TVA, the office worker who is just infatuated
Uh,
by Deadpool.
well, what about what is it? The same guy that was mouthing the part in Logan?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
Same
Yeah, that's
guy.
pretty cool.
I like him.
Uh,
No
but
speaking
then they get
lines, but
so
excellent.
as soon as they get dropped into the void, that's when it's straight comic book craziness. Anything
Hmm.
goes, and the first Wolverine Deadpool fight I think is great. Yeah, when he gets crawling on the all fours and
Yeah, I loved
just
that.
seeing how to, and yeah, he gets that Deadpool gets adamantium sword so he can stand toe to toe. They upgrade him,
Yeah.
and just the brutality. And then when he finally gets apart, it's like, let me see if you grow your head back or whatever he says. And he's like, no, no, it's not. Um, but two regeneration boys, they can just keep going at it.
Yeah.
um, but it's great, and even Deadpool's like, he's basically just like, oh, I really don't want to do this, but let's give the fans what they've been asking for.
Yeah.
Um, and then and then our Mad Max kind of crew shows up,
Oh, yeah.
and this is a bunch of different Fox
Well,
villains,
first they meet up
X-Men
with
villains.
as the Mad Max crew is pulling up.
Oh
They
yeah, we
run
see a
into
familiar looking
uh
character,
Chris Evans,
and
and they
at
do
first
purposefully throw you off. He has a little bit of red on
to be
his
Captain
arm.
America,
Um,
like a Captain America variant
yeah,
or whatever.
my partner
And then
sitting
no.
next to me in the theater, she thought, and I remember leading over to her and being like, "No, it's not. It's not." Um,
Well, and even Deadpool was like, "Oh, he's gonna say it like Avengers Assemble," but then he says "Flame on,"
yeah,
and and he's in it for a little while.
yeah,
It's not
he
just a
gets some
quick
screen
thing.
time. I
He
like
actually
it.
gets some fun dialogue, and Chris Evans really plays
Yeah,
Johnny Storm well. Like he cusses and like just is a dick, and like getting to see him act like that after seeing him as wholesome Captain America so long, because we forget that, yeah, he was Johnny Storm first, who was like a completely different kind of character,
yeah,
personality wise, everything. um and yeah, that's great. I think it was a little bit of shame he didn't get to really do more with his powers. Like Pyro took him out pretty quick,
yeah,
which I guess makes sense if he can control flame.
yeah.
um
But then they had to move it
but it
forward.
was just funny gag, they had to move it forward. They could have
Yeah,
just
it
had
is the
him like,
same actor from the original X-Men movies that played
yeah,
Pyro. The other one is
yeah.
Ray Parks returns as Toad.
Mm-hmm.
That was Ray
Who is
Parks,
also
which I
Darth Maul.
liked. Yeah.
uh
Um,
uh but yeah, and then they get captured and taken to Cassandra Nova's base, which is in
mhm.
the, you'll
Well,
see in the
he
trailer,
fights
the big
Sabretooth
giant
real
man
quick,
corpse.
and
Oh,
I think this was one of the, other than the drunkenness, this was another kind of moment of like, this is, he's a little bit different than the Fox Wolverine
he
because
just
he
goes straight for
doesn't,
the kill,
yeah, he doesn't play around. He just beheads Sabretooth immediately.
instantly. And it's like, yeah, it makes sense. With the
Yeah,
adamantium
so
claw,
so you get a
he
hit
could.
like this. Wolverine is a little, only a tad bit, but a little bit meaner.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we get that. I mean, his hero side comes through in the end, especially
Yeah.
when we finally get the mask.
Oh, I do love when
It
he,
looks a little off in some shots, but for the most part, it looks fucking rad.
it looks
And
rad.
and then we get the
I love
shirtless,
the
but
oh, I love that the whole movie Deadpool's joking that the reason he's not shirtless is because he didn't get out as much for this movie.
yeah.
And then when
And then
he
we finally,
finally get a shirtless scene, everyone's like, "Oh,
and yeah, they confirmed that is Hugh Jackman.
nice." Yeah.
Uh,
But
but
no, I love when he finally at the end puts on the mask for that scene. that fight at the
Mhm.
end. Deadpool's like, "What are you save that for special occasions?" And he goes, "Mostly for killing."
Yeah.
I'm like,
And yeah,
that's
but yeah, he just decapitates Sabretooth. It's built up to be a big show off, but yeah, nope.
yeah. I'm
And then they
actually
go to
glad they
Cassandra.
didn't like waste time on it. Not that I wouldn't
Right.
have liked to see, I would still like to see that fight, but I'm like, there's a few moments where they could have drawn out the movie longer,
Hmm.
but they didn't, which I
Yeah.
appreciate.
No, yeah, and even Deadpool like references that.
Yeah.
But but yeah, that's great. And then yeah, they get the Cassandra Nova's base, and it's in a big giant man corpse. And
Hmm.
we see more Fox villains like Azazel, Lady Deathstroke or Deathstrike,
Yeah.
characters like that. And then
Juggernaut.
Johnny's still there,
Yeah.
and Deadpool just rats him out.
Yeah, which you find out in
And
the after credit scene,
oh yeah, the after
Deadpool
credits,
wasn't
yeah,
making that up. He
no, he
really just
wasn't
was
making it
ratting him
up.
out.
But that he, basically dogged Cassandra Nova to them, and then she just got pissed off, and she's OP. She has like telekinesis. She's Professor X's evil twin sister, but she has telekinesis, all that. And then his death, God,
Yeah.
just gets skinned,
Yeah.
just eviscerated. It's just fucking gnarly. And then, but even though you said this Wolverine's like meaner, he's still like concerned, like cares about people. Like he's like,
Yeah.
you just got that kid murdered.
He's
He
only
was like, kid,
a little bit meaner.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
But he
like
goes
just
for the
just as
kill.
in he's more willing to go straight for the kill
Yeah.
when fighting a
Um,
villain versus
but
the
yeah,
other. Yeah.
and that's when we get introduced to that, to Cassandra, and we see how threatening she is, and then she basically leaves him to be fed to Eliath, who's in Loki,
Hmm.
um, who just it's just a being that roams the void,
Yeah.
uh, and they run away on like a sentinel arm or something, I think,
Yeah.
and then they run into Nice Pool, the
Yes.
handsome Ryan Reynolds,
Handsome Ryan
and
Reynolds.
Dogpool.
Yeah, oh, and Dogpool. I love
Love
Dogpool.
Dogpool. Yeah.
Yes. Um,
Uh,
I like Nice
Apparently, it was
Pool.
Britain
He's
voted Britain's ugliest dog last year or something like
yeah,
that.
it's perfect though. Perfect.
Yeah.
Nice
But
Pool is
Nice Pool.
great. Like
I
he's
love the one scene where he's like, "Oh, I can also gently tap the fourth wall. The proposal."
yeah,
It's
Deadpool's
great.
like, what the fuck was
What the
that?
fuck you see? And then the whole bit where he uses them as a human shield because he thinks he'll regenerate. He was like, "Okay, when are you gonna regenerate?" And he's like, "Regenerate?" And he just fucking gets him, just eviscerated with bullets.
Yeah.
And yeah, we get
Um,
the whole Deadpool core. They show up later on
yeah.
as a cannon fodder for them. That Cassandra Nova sends
The
over because
Deadpool core, I have mixed feelings about. I think the actual scene was fun. Like once they get into the fight scene, I really liked the fight scene. Like
oh
the
yeah,
like
we get
that
Wolverine
side
with.
scrolling, like it's almost just like a
Mhm.
beat 'em up type of
Yeah,
like
it is
thing,
like a
and I
beat 'em
really
up.
liked that. I do think the Deadpool core was a little bit much.
Underutilized or a little much
I think
on
they
the multiverse
it's just
stuff.
something you really expect from a multiverse movie, and I just um
They could have held off on it.
yeah. I do like
I mean, even
we did get some cameos in the Deadpool core. Matthew McConaughey was the cowboy
and then
Deadpool,
Blake Lively
Blake
is Lady
Lively.
Deadpool.
Yeah.
Um,
Um
but yeah, just seeing Wolverine, and he's like, "Oh, I get to kill 100 of you now." It's like, yeah, let's
yeah.
do it. And they kill like hundreds of these Deadpools, and one of them's welcome a Welsh one, which is a reference to Wrexham, which
Yeah.
that's cool because Ryan Reynolds knows that. And apparently, Rob McElhenney was one of the TVA agents. I'm not sure
Oh,
which one, but he was
nice.
one of them.
Maybe it was the one that
Uh,
Deadpool was going, I can't
I
see your
think
eyes,
it's
but
I think maybe that one.
that would be good, yeah.
But and yeah, they just tear them, and yeah, we finally get Wolverine with the mask, and he keeps it on for almost the rest of the third act.
Yeah.
Once he puts it on, we
Yeah.
get to see him finally with the comic book costume, no sleeves, mask, great stuff.
Fucking loved
Um,
it. Yeah. And this is coming
and
and this is coming from also I binge watched X-Men 97 right before going to
Nice.
see this. Yeah,
What did you think of that?
it was awesome.
I think it's one of Marvel's best
Yeah,
efforts.
fantastic.
Especially
Really
with
loved it.
animation.
I also side note here, the other day, yesterday actually, I did watch um Days of Future Past again because it had been a while.
Oh, nice.
And I just want to, from our tier list last week, I just want to confirm after a rewatch, still S tier movie.
S tier.
So
Nice.
good.
Yeah,
Such a good
yeah,
movie.
I like it.
Yeah. But anyway,
Um,
but going back to they meet Nice Pool and then they Nice Pool
I
gives
love
them
nice
his
people.
Honda Odyssey.
Oh, and he's sorry. He's so Canadian,
Yeah.
which is great.
But they have a
And yeah,
Honda
he gives him a
Odyssey,
Honda Odyssey
which
specifically.
I loved because I don't know if you know this, but the one time that I almost totaled a car
The Honda Odyssey.
was a Honda Odyssey.
Well, they total it.
Um,
And then we get an amazing piece of dialogue from Hugh Jackman and Deadpool here, where Deadpool's just, being annoying, and then Wolverine just finally breaks down. It's like, can you not just shut the fuck up? Like, and he just rips into him, and
yeah,
Deadpool like is just floored. He usually has a comeback and whatever. Nah, because he really cuts deep into him.
yeah.
Uh, and then he's just like, okay, I'm gonna fight you now.
And then they fight for a whole day through the
Yeah, until
night.
they exhaust themselves.
Well, until Wolverine ties up Deadpool in a bunch of
Yeah,
seatbelts.
pretty much.
And then he
Uh,
just passes out. Yeah.
and it's brutal, like because they due to their powers and stuff, they can do things that no one would survive. And just seeing Wolverine tear into him and like Deadpool getting creative with his weapons and all that, and like trying to choke him on the seatbelt,
Yeah.
like that's just great. It's just such a small contained
That
environment.
was a
And
great
apparently, like
yeah.
car fighting is like becoming a thing in Europe and whatever.
Oh.
Like it's becoming like a thing.
No,
Um,
I thought that was one of my favorite fights. You have parts where
yeah,
like
just
one of
that.
them launches up through the sunroof and then comes
Mhm.
back down.
Well,
that was
Deadpool,
great.
I mean, Wolverine even does the classic, like, iconic, like, inexplicable launch.
Yeah,
Like, you know how he always does that in the movies where he does the
yeah.
launch,
And Jackson,
like the video gamey thing.
they did park the car in the woods.
Yeah.
So it technically counts as a Wolverine fighting someone in the woods scene.
Yep. That, in every movie,
Yes,
I think.
technically it counts. So
Yeah.
they're past they Wolverine ties them up, falls asleep, and then someone gets in the car and drives them. I assume it's Laura that does that, if I remember right, because they don't show who
I
got in the
can't remember,
car.
or Elektra.
I don't know.
But, anyways, yeah, we get Jennifer Garner as Elektra.
Hmm.
We get Wesley freaking Snipes back as Blade, the
So
one and
fucking
only Blade.
hyped. So
And
fucking.
then
He even
Deadpool's like,
says that at
does he
one
not
point.
know? Yeah, and then
Yeah,
he's like, does he not know?
yeah. But he even says that he's like, there was only one fucking Blade.
Yeah.
He has
And
he has in the fight scenes he's in, he has his catchphrases and fucking
yep,
everything.
I skated uphill. All
I
these
was
motherfuckers are
so
skating uphill.
fucking on board with Wesley
Um,
Snipes in
and then
this.
you get Jennifer Garner as Elektra, and I think she does good. And they
They
even
throw some
reference real
shade
world
at
things
Ben
to Ben
Affleck.
Affleck because they divorced in real life. And then Deadpool's like, "Oh, where's Daredevil?" And they're like, "Oh, he died." And she's like, "Oh, it's whatever."
Yeah, they go, I'm
um,
sorry. She goes, no, it's okay.
yeah. Uh,
Okay.
And then Laura, of course, we all saw that in the trailer, but it's great
Hmm.
seeing her back continuing this character, same version, which
Yeah.
and she even puts the glasses on and everything, which is a great
Yeah, Daphne
callback.
Keene is
And she
fantastic.
gets to kill Juggernaut in a really cool way.
Yeah, slices his fucking
Achilles heel and then
ankles. Yeah.
cuts his head off. Because they have to get Juggernaut's helmet on Cassandra because it's anti-telekinetic. Because,
Yeah.
if you know your Professor X lore, if you wear one of those helmets, and Deadpool did ask if Magneto was on team, but apparently he died or something.
Yeah.
Um, but and then we get this one came out of nowhere. Gambit,
Yeah.
Channing Tatum as Gambit,
Yeah.
which never happened, which was always supposed to happen. It always got canceled and delayed and just
Yeah,
never
and
ended
it
up
wasn't
happening.
even like rumors. It was there were several times where officially he was cast
Yeah, as Gambit, and it just
and they kept just
and apparently like
canceling or whatever.
it sent him into a depression. But yeah, we finally get to see him as Gambit, and he
Yeah,
really hams it up with the Cajun accent and
so good.
everything. And even Deadpool's like, "What the fuck is he
Yeah,
saying? Was
there's
the minions
one.
your dialect coach?"
Yeah.
You know. Um,
But you get a comic accurate
but he's
Gambit.
comic accurate suit, and yeah, he looks a little weird in the suit,
Yeah.
Channing Tatum, but still, you get a comic accurate suit, and he has all the cards and the staff, and like he gets a cool moment in that
Oh, and
fight
he's
scene.
blowing people's heads up and shit. Like the rated
Yeah,
R part of it just really
it's
fits
great.
him really
And
well.
yeah, that was amazing cameo or just guest appearance. And
Yeah. And yeah,
yeah,
I
it
think
just came out of nowhere.
all of the
Uh,
those that whole team gets great moments to shine.
yeah,
Um
it's good send off.
Gambit especially. I really
Yeah,
think
well, because we never
they
seen a Gambit.
yeah. I
The
was
only
nerding
other
out
Gambit we saw
over
was the Taylor Kitsch version and
yeah.
X-Men Origins, which was fine for that movie, I guess. I don't know.
I
Not
mean, yeah,
really
I
the
like
Gambit
Taylor
I
Kitsch
imagine. I
in
guess
that
he was all
movie,
right, but
I guess. But
but seeing a comic book accurate version and the deep cut like that, it's Channing Tatum and just
it was a lot more
actually
fun. Yeah.
having fun with his powers and like it's not just vague whatever, like actually just doing Gambit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. Uh, but I think what also helps this movie is it doesn't need those cameos to be fulfilling. Like
Hmm.
just Wolverine and Deadpool alone is enough to like get my nerd on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just their fight scenes and and just their dialogue.
No,
That just
but I
adds
do
on
but
to
I
it.
also do think
Um,
the cameos just work in the
yeah,
way like the
yeah,
setting, they're in the void, they're in the trash heap.
the trash heap.
This is
Yeah,
a multiversal place,
mm-hmm.
so it makes sense that they would come across multiverse characters.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. No,
I do
yeah.
think the fight
Uh,
scene where they all converge on Cassandra Nova's base,
that's the weakest.
it's the
I mean,
weakest.
there's good moments in there, but
Yeah,
it's very
you get a
choppy and
lot of
just
great
shaky
Gambit
cam.
shit in there, but it's I didn't like how they filmed it. I do like when they pull up to the they pull up. Blade has the Punisher's
Speed gun.
rocket launcher.
Yeah.
Um, they pull up, and then
Oh, and
Wolverine
he's like,
gets out
which
of the
Punisher? There's like
truck.
5 of them.
Yeah, and then they pull up, and they all get out, and then Wolverine gets out of the trunk.
Yep.
Which I just love
He snuck
the
in
implication that
with
he
him.
was just in the trunk the whole time.
Yep. The whole time. Yeah, yeah. And yeah, Laura peps him up and is basically like, yeah, you were never the right guy, and but until it mattered, like until
Hmm.
like you were needed.
Yeah,
And she was basically just like, yeah, you remind me a lot of my Logan. You're a lot like him.
you get some
Just
because Cassandra gets into his mind. You get some backstory
stop
stuff
being
on
sad.
this.
Just
Um,
be Wolverine.
but you get some sort
Oh,
of
and
character
Cassandra,
development
yeah,
of like he's the he's the Wolverine that let everyone down, but
yeah,
he's mean and bitter, but you get this development that like he truly wants to be an X-Men.
yeah.
It's why
And
he's
he wears
still
the suit
wearing
as
the
a
suit.
reminder.
Yeah, it's
Um, and yeah, even when he stops, he's like, no, let's not kill her. And they take off the helmet because she gets shot, or Deadpool shoots her, or I forget who shoots her, or no, is it Laura
um
shoots her? Who shoots her?
it's Pyro.
Well, yeah, he comes in because
Pyro comes in because Pyro's working with the
crosses over.
TVA.
He
He's a
crosses her
rat.
path and works for TVA, and he just straight up shoots her. Um, doesn't use his powers, just shoots her.
That he
Which
starts
is great.
monologuing and Wolverine just
He
knocks him
monologue. He's
out.
like, no, not everyone gets a speech. Um, which is great. But then he's like, no, let's take it off because she's gonna die, and then she can heal herself because she's that OP and whatever. Um, and then she's like, okay, I'll send you guys off. And then she uses from a Doctor Strange she killed his sling ring, and she
Hmm.
sends them off, and they go back to not the MCU, but the Fox universe, the
Yeah,
Logan
to
universe, I
Deadpool's
think,
world.
the Deadpool world,
Yeah.
and they go back to save that, and then that's when they find out, oh, now she's all pissed off and out of spite at Paradox and at the TVA for
Yeah.
fucking around with her place in the void because she's just like a god there and just has the void is just her playground essentially. Um, and she's like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna use your Time Ripper thing and destroy everything. Which yeah,
Yeah.
it's cliche. It's like, oh, I'm gonna destroy the world, and it's like, oh, where's the stakes? It's like when the stakes are that big, that huge, like you lose any kind of connection to it.
Yeah.
However, we get a great moment there where uh Deadpool does the Spock thing where he goes in,
Mm,
sacrifice
yeah.
himself, even though Wolverine's like, let me do it. You have people to live for. I failed my people. Let me do this. Let me have this. And Deadpool's like, nah. And then he goes. But
Yeah.
then they both end up doing it. Wolverine busts in, and then they hold hands. And
Yeah. Well,
God, what a friendship.
you get the Deadpool fight before they go with all the Deadpools.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Um, I do want to mention the true hero of the story, Peter, shows up,
Oh yeah. So
and
they
I
fight
love that that's
they
how because
fight all the Deadpools, and then they all get up because they all regenerate aside from Nice Pool, uh,
yeah,
but they all regenerate, and he's like, oh yeah, I guess
and
they
then
do regenerate.
Peter
And
shows up
then
and he goes,
Peter
"It's
shows up.
okay, guys, he's there
And
with
for some
me."
reason, Peter has just like big balls in that suit. Like
Yeah,
it's just awkward.
and then one of the TVA
Filtering.
agent is like really attracted to.
Yeah, she's the
They
one
just
one of the
they just
main
really
lesbian.
hype up Peter in this movie, which
Yeah, and
I
they're like, oh
like.
yeah, every Deadpool's got a Peter. Like Peter's pretty much like their Morty, like
Yeah,
every Deadpool's got a
but
Peter.
I like how that's how
Uh,
they resolve the fight. Is they're all about to start fighting again, and he's just like, "It's
yeah.
okay, guys,
Well,
they're with
they
me."
had to come up with something because it's like I was like, what's gonna happen because they're all just gonna keep coming at
Yeah,
him.
like how are they gonna
uh,
actually get
and
out
then
of this
yeah,
fight?
Peter
And
shows
it's
up.
just Peter's just like,
Uh,
and just all the Deadpools love Peter so much that they're just like,
yeah,
"Oh, if Peter says he's cool, then he's cool."
yeah. But anyways, they go to stop Cassandra, and then yeah, they basically tell him you're gonna have to go in and connect both of the antimatter and dark matter and whatever,
Hmm.
and you'll die. And it's like you'll die because yeah, you regenerate, but you'll get disintegrated. You'll be gone forever. And Wolverine's like, yeah, I'll do it because he's got nothing to live for, whatever. And Deadpool psychs him out. Then they both do it. They hold hands. We get Wolverine with his shirt torn off.
Yeah, it
So he
disintegrates his
slowly gets stripped down
shirt.
throughout the movie.
It just the whole
Yeah,
thing,
it
it
disintegrates his shirt.
disintegrates his
Yeah,
shirt, but nothing else.
yeah. So he's got the
Oh,
helmet, the
it
mask,
doesn't
and the
discriminate his
pants.
pants or his helmet or any of Deadpool's stuff.
Yeah,
Just Hugh
just his
Jackman's
shirt.
shirt.
And yeah, just again, seeing him in the iconic mask and everything, and that when they
Yeah,
fight the Deadpool core, and when like he does the lunge out of the bus, like that's just
yeah.
peak, peak shit.
There's one moment
Uh,
in the Deadpool core fight
there's a
where
weird idle
it's just
anime
like
animation
they're all
that
piled up on Wolverine and he's just pushing them, which
yeah.
I thought was a
Well, and
great.
I like that they also he seems to be like the one of the strongest Wolverines. Like he's not
Yeah,
just slicing stuff; he's also using his super strength because
yeah,
Wolverine does have some, and I appreciate that. Uh, but um, but yeah, then it's like a Guardians of the Galaxy ending where they both survive because they both hold hands,
yeah,
and and yeah, that's a big cliche, but it's also it works for the story and for the characters. And then
yeah,
they're mates, and then they get to live in their universe, and it's basically like, okay, you'll be in this universe until you're like needed in the MC, like in the MCU 616. So they leave it, they close the door, but they leave it open where yeah, they can bring them back, but it's like I think it's basically like them hedging their bets. It's like if this ended up not doing well at the box office because it's rated R, because it is Disney's
hmm,
first rated R movie,
yeah,
uh, the MCU's first rated R movie. Um, so they kind of left it that way where it's like, okay, yeah, they can and will be probably brought back, but they left it where like they can be left in their universe and just be happy there and just
yeah.
kind of, but we know they're gonna be coming back. I mean, they do even tease it with like he's you know with Thor and everything,
Yeah.
and he throughout the movie that's a running joke where he's like Thor, like he
He's
wakes
like,
up
why
and
was Thor crying?
yeah, why was Thor crying, which is great. Um, and yeah, I mean, I just want to see more of them. I mean, and
Hmm.
he's like, yeah, you're gonna be doing this till you're 90.
Yeah.
And Hugh Jackman hasn't made any big announcements saying, "Okay, that was my last one. Now we're done. That was my swan song." Nope. I think we're gonna see a couple more from him,
I think that would be cool.
and at
Yeah.
least Secret Wars. I think he's gonna be back,
Yeah.
um, because Secret Wars and the Void is just kind of a tease for it. But if you go by the comics, and now they should be able to do that even more now with like I said, they have access to pretty much all the characters. But Secret Wars takes place in Battle World, which is a bunch of
Hmm.
chunks of different universes put into one, and then
Yeah.
they all just go at it.
Yeah.
And this was like a smaller scale version of that.
Yeah.
Like we get the tease of kind of what Secret Wars is gonna be like. We're gonna see, and yeah, I know people are getting multiverse fatigue, but I think this movie proves that the multiverse, it can be utilized well in a satisfying way.
Yeah.
Like if you actually give the characters something to do other than just
I
show
was
up and like
talking I
say
was
they're
talking with someone recently and we were like, there's two ways that multiverse works really well. It's in stuff like this where it's just like it's just a multiverse story.
mm-hmm.
This or like Spider-Verse does that really well.
Mm-hmm.
Secret Wars. Or the other way,
Well, we shall see.
yeah. But the other way it works well is when it's just a thing in the background,
Mm-hmm.
which is where I think some of the MCU has fallen flat, is they're not before this movie weren't fully committing to making it like a just like the focus.
Right, because
But
I mean,
they're not just letting it be a thing that exists in the background because like you want in the
pretty
comics.
much all the other mainline MCU movies make no reference
Yeah, like
to the multiverse.
in the other X-Men media, like in X-Men 97 you get characters
That
like
alludes to a greater
yeah, well, you get characters like
universe,
Bishop, where Bishop's whole thing is he's not just a guy from a future, he's a guy from an alternate future.
alternate future, which is, I
Like,
mean, that's
and
multiverse.
that's just his thing.
Yeah,
It's
it doesn't have to be. Yeah, exactly. I think, and I'm not. I don't think it either has to be one way or another exactly, but I think the multiverse works very well. Is just yeah, just kind of a background lore kind of thing, like ambient
hmm
lore,
yeah,
where it's like we know the multiverse exists, and you could have little things show up in the whether it be little Easter eggs or like just references or just like it doesn't the plot doesn't have to surround it are this where it's like yeah we're
yeah,
in the
balls to the
multiverse
walls,
everything's
just
ball
multiverse
going to
shit.
crazy chaotic um and with the ending of Loki season 2 spoiler big spoiler I don't know if you know anything
Mhm.
about it
Yeah,
do you I
yeah,
mean I kind of
no,
you
no,
do
yeah,
so Loki basically becomes God
yeah,
of the MC or the God of stories. I think that's what they're doing,
hmm
where he's basically the center of the world tree of pretty much the branching timelines of pretty much the multiverse. Like he's why it is not just the sacred timeline anymore. Why
hmm
stuff's branching into each other. Um, but that's just a thing. That's a background lore thing now. It doesn't
yeah,
have. They don't have to like reference it or like talk about it. But it will be interesting to see Loki. It's what I think is going to be interesting coming forward for the MCU, and it is going to be kind of like a desperate thing. But with RDJ coming in as Doctor Doom as the main villain of the MCU, when he was the main hero of the
hmm
MCU, and then now Loki is the main hero of the MCU. Like it's all
Yeah,
flipped on its head. Um, and I think it will be interesting to
definitely.
if they got the Russo brothers back, so that's good. It
Hmm.
does show desperation, but maybe, that's
They
what they
are they
need. I
are
mean,
slowing down on their release schedule,
that's
which
a
is a
good
good
thing.
thing.
Think about it. This
Um,
was the only Marvel movie out this year, and people cared about it. It had huge box office numbers. Critics and fans alike, it did pretty damn good critically. Um, and there was real excitement for it. And
yeah.
yeah, of course, because bringing Hugh Jackman back and Deadpool and Wolverine is a no-brainer for excitement. But if you give each story its own room to breathe instead of just constantly throwing, TV show crossovers and just bloated with just tons of movies that people
Hmm.
feel like it's like homework. Like you have to watch everything to get it. That's where the superhero fatigue thing really started, where it really felt like homework, where
Yeah.
it's not fun. But like with this, if they go scale it back to like one or two movies a year and
Hmm.
make them and the whole woke thing, whatever, I don't care really about that dialogue. What I really care about is just making fun, interesting, creative movies that not only the people will care about, but the fans will care about.
Yeah.
And I think this kind of proves like this is what you should be doing. Not saying the movies should just be multiverse stuff, but like with Captain America: Brave New World, like with all
Hmm.
the reshoots and everything, I'm a little suspicious of it. But if they actually let it, be on its own,
Yeah.
don't
I,
don't
I'm
just don't make it just a setup for the next movie.
I'm gonna be
Let
totally
it be
honest.
its
Brave
own
New World
thing.
doesn't really look very good to me.
No, but
Um,
who knows? Fingers
I'll give it a
crossed.
shot. We'll see.
Um,
I like Harrison
But I
Ford.
think the thing is,
But
yes, this sets up and connects to greater MCU plot lines, right? Even
mhm.
Deadpool's like, oh, if you've seen Loki season 1, episode 5, you'll understand this, the life and everything. Um, but it is its own contained story about two men going on an adventure
Yeah.
that hate each other and that fight each other and yell at each other and then end up becoming mates. And it's a contained story within a greater multiverse, but it's not
Yeah.
just for the sake of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Spider-Man No Way Home, I think it's still a pretty damn great contained story. But
Yeah. I still like that movie a lot.
I think the whole explanation with Doctor Strange fucking up the spell and everything and that bringing in the characters, I think that's just like them being like, we're just putting the Spider-Man together and we're just bringing the greatest hits together just
Yeah.
because. This had a better in-universe, in-story explanation for all this to happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it works better as I think like I said earlier, I think it's their best multiverse movie because it actually plays into it and has real fun with it.
Yes.
Although I still really love Spider-Man No Way Home. I would say this and that. I would say No Way Home and Deadpool and Wolverine are like right up there with each other.
No,
Multiverse of
I still
Madness.
love
Um,
No Way Home. It's just I just think this movie, kind of what I said at the beginning of this episode, is this movie just feels like more of a true comic book style
yeah,
adventure
yeah.
versus
I
where
mean,
No Way
it's
Home, as much as I love it, it's what you said. It's the greatest hits.
hmm and this is also that, but it's a also it just works so well with Deadpool, with the
Yeah.
writing, with the comedy, with the humor,
There's
and
even at one point where Deadpool is just like, listen, guys, it's multiverse stuff. We got to be done with it.
yeah,
This is
no,
it's
yeah,
getting out
and
of
it is
hand.
gonna have to end. It's like after Secret Wars, I at least am hoping for like a soft reboot where it's like, okay, let's take the favorite characters Like Deadpool, like he'll stay.
Mm.
We'll have to figure out a new Wolverine. I think if they just pass the torch to Laura, I think most fans would be happy of that.
I would be happy with that. Yeah.
Just pass the torch to Laura because I mean Hugh Jackman, is pretty irreplaceable. Um, Not saying that someone else shouldn't be given the chance, but I think the easier option would just be pass it to Laura,
Yeah.
have her be the MCU Wolverine, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but like take the characters we like, know and like that get really good fan reception after Secret Wars, kind of soft reboot the MCU, but stop all the multiverse shenanigans, or at least for a while, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you can build back up to it
Just
because I
make
know they
it.
want to do X-Men stuff again and all
Yeah.
that. Um,
Just eventually, once we're done with all this stuff, just put the multiverse into the background.
yeah, just the background,
Let
but
it
don't make it
just exist,
and I think
but don't make it the thing.
another complaint with multiverse is that there's no stakes because it's like, well, you could just bring a different version of the
Hmm.
person that died, like, um, uh, you know, and I definitely see that. Um, I mean, I mean, Deadpool just going to get another Wolverine. It's like, well, we can't get Logan back, our Logan, so just grab another Wolverine.
Yeah.
But that kind of the way it just plays into that, it just works so well. Uh, yeah. But anyways, do you have anything else to talk about this movie?
Not really. I think we said it all.
I mean, just gushing over it.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, yeah. I mean, but for me, yeah, I mean, it was just a peak comic book movie experience, and uh,
Yeah.
I would
I
highly
can nitpick
recommend it. I
some of the filmmaking stuff. I can nitpick some of the dialogue
Mhm.
here and there.
Oh, and I thought it had a
Um
good soundtrack too, which is always
yeah,
a good plus. A great
yeah.
soundtrack.
But
Uh,
overall I loved it.
it's gonna be one of my like comfort Marvel movies, like
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Those are like some of my comfort ones. This is gonna also be that, like,
Yeah, totally.
just one I watch, once ever so often. Just, I mean, maybe on more viewings it will lose its
I do think I think if I had to
magic.
throw out another nitpick, I think so one of the reasons why so at the beginning of the movie it shows Deadpool is broken up
Oh
with
yeah, that
Vanessa
that plot line
and that whole
where she's
thing.
like, "You're not
I appreciate that they
being
don't
your
go
best
into
self,"
too much
or whatever.
detail. They just say this is how it is, whatever. I do think it would have been a little bit more in character if this whole thing was just because Deadpool was bored.
Yeah,
Like if Deadpool
but
was
he
just
was doing
bored,
it to.
so he
He wanted to
decided
be
to,
important. He wanted to be in the Avengers and all that.
yeah,
And also, this Wolverine's like, "Fuck the Avengers." So that means he knows the Avengers.
yeah.
This version. And obviously, we've seen the version that's fought the Hulk, which, yeah, that's my other nitpick. We could have got a
Would have
little bit more of that.
what I would have liked to see a little bit
Um,
more Hulk. Yeah,
but I think they're just saving that for Secret Wars or something, and we'll
yeah,
get that properly at some point. It probably just wasn't in the budget because the budget was already overblown with all the cameos and with all the,
yeah.
you know,
Man, see, I imagine
all
Secret
that
Wars
stuff.
is gonna be
If
an
done right, I
insanely
mean,
high budget.
I'm very, let's just say this, I'm very interested in Robert Downey Jr. is a great actor. I
Yeah,
think he can definitely play a great Doctor Doom. It's just gonna be to fans, we're gonna be like, well, I guess it's just like a multiverse thing, but even we can't accept that because it's like we just want a proper Doctor Doom.
yeah. I mean,
But then to normal people are gonna be even more. Normal people are gonna just be straight up confused.
Yeah,
Like, wait, why is Iron Man Doctor Doom?
I'm not gonna discount it
Um,
as it
it
won't be
is an act of
good,
desperation,
but it seems weird to me. It's
but it also has me very interested to see how his take on the character could be,
yeah,
and on obviously, I mean, he got a huge paycheck. I heard something around 80 million or something to come back.
Oh my God.
Um,
Yeah.
humongous paycheck to
Holy
come back
shit.
for these next couple for Avengers Doomsday, which is the next one, and then Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously, maybe they did ask him if he wanted to come back as Iron Man. He was like, "No, that I'm done with that character. It's done." I don't know. Who knows behind the scenes? But then, to play a villain, that obviously interested him, and the paycheck.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. I mean, he was a villain in Oppenheimer, kind of.
No, no, I think
I
he
think
could
everyone was a villain in
he
Oppenheimer,
would be a very good Doctor Doom.
but
I
Doctor
think
Doom, yeah.
um
But it's
I
like, how do you get outside of that?
yeah,
Of
well it's
him,
like even if they do a thing where it's
like Hugh
not.
Jackman's gonna be Magneto now.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
how
it's
do you?
like even if they do a thing where it's not just an alternate version of Tony Stark that's evil, even if they do he really is Victor Von Doom, it's
Then
still Robert Downey Jr.
still gonna be thinking about,
You
unless
were
he's
still
in the
going to be
mask the
thinking
whole,
about
and
Iron
he's
Man.
not gonna be in the mask the whole time. You're not gonna pay him that much to be in the mask. No way.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh, and I know we're just going into just Marvel talk here, but however, there is comic book precedent, like Infamous Iron Man, where Doctor Doom becomes Iron Man.
yeah, no, I
Like there is stuff they can pull
again, I'm
from,
not going to
and like
discount it
Superior Iron
as
Man,
like
Infamous Iron Man.
yeah,
Like there is versions of Iron Man that are like Doctor Doom, and like versions of Doctor Doom that turn into Iron Man.
yeah.
So there's definitely stuff they can pull from and do
No,
that I
and
think
again, I'm not
could
I'm not going to
work.
discount it and immediately say that I don't think it'll be good. It could
I'm
very
sure
well
he'll
be
do
good.
great in the role. He's a great actor.
Let's just
I mean,
let's just put it
it's
this
just gonna
way.
be weird.
It's
It's just
certainly
gonna
a
be
creative choice.
yeah. I mean, out of all the incredible or brand, up and coming actors or other, you know, like I always thought Bryan Cranston or somebody like
I
that
think
could be a
Bryan
great
Cranston would
Doctor
be an
Doom.
excellent Doctor Doom.
Uh,
Yeah.
or you know, anybody. But it's like, okay, let's just get Robert Downey Jr. back to play
Yeah.
Doctor Doom, a different character. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's just bold, like, because you would expect, oh, he's coming back as Iron Man, yeah. Unless this is all a huge fake out, and it's like, actually, he's Iron Man.
We'll see. I don't know.
But it will be interesting. But yeah, I can't wait to see more Deadpool and Wolverine.
Mhm.
Some people are I even seeing like, let's just get another one of these.
Yeah.
Like, who cares if they show up in another Avengers, which I'm sure they will, but it's like, can we just get another buddy movie with them?
Yeah.
Like Deadpool and
Maybe
Wolverine 2? Like,
maybe
and
they
it's
can
just,
actually just do a road trip movie.
yeah. Yeah, now that they've done the big one, just do a small, even if just do like a short film
Just
of just
do
them
just do
in the Honda Odyssey with Dogpool
yeah.
and just going on a road trip.
Just do
And
National Lampoon's Vacation,
yeah, just
but
do
with
that.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah. Anyways, I think we should end it there. It's getting late.
Yeah.
But yeah, we uh, if you haven't seen it already, watch Deadpool and Wolverine. It was great. Uh, definitely enjoyed it. Um, it was fun finally get to talk about it with you. Uh,
Yes.
and we will see you, or we won't see you. That's a little strange,
Hmm.
but we will be in your ears next week as
That doesn't
uh,
sound better.
impersonified ambient voices in your head. You can imagine however we look. Uh, I always like that with podcasts. I mean, it's like especially when you first start listening to podcasts, you don't know who or
Yeah.
what they
Just
look like.
imagining what these
It's just like,
weirdos look like.
yeah, it's just voices. Like sometimes I don't even imagine what they look like. It's just the comfort of the voice. Like
Yeah.
it's a weird thing. It's like a weird niche thing that I like. Just sometimes it ruins it for me as soon as I see what they look like. Like with the
Yeah.
Weekly Planet, now I just see a bearded man and a goat, every time I hear them.
Yeah.
But um
But
I
yeah.
know it's still pretty good. It
Anyway.
was Yeah. Well,
Until
talk to
next
or
time. Yeah,
until next time. Yeah.
something like that.
Something like that. Um, yeah, and yeah, stay tuned for something completely different. As you can, if you look at our episode history, we cover all kinds of topics, not just movie stuff, not just video game stuff or music stuff, even though it's been recent. Um, uh, we'll be switching it up soon. And we're not too far off, a couple months off from Spooktober, so that's always a
Yeah.
fun time.
Oh, that's
So
exciting.
if you want some spooky content, we got plenty to offer there in our catalog. Um, so yeah, have fun, stay safe.
This is not a test. I repeat, this is not a test. The Odd Drunk Podcast recommends you follow their Instagram and join their Facebook group for more fun content. To visit all of our current streaming and social media platforms, visit the link tree in the description. If you enjoy the show, we would be appreciated it if you would leave a review on Apple Podcasts. The Odd Drunk Podcast would like to remind you to drink responsibly and not to drink and drive.